Hi, everybody. We'll give it just another minute. I know David was in another meeting that he's just finishing up, but if he's not here in another minute, I'll go ahead and switch the order of our plans and get started with the meeting. And let me just share my screen so you see, oh, David's here. So this is our agenda for today. David, you ready?
I'm ready. Am I up first?
You're up first, but I can go into this survey if you would prefer.
No, that's fine. I'm sorry. We didn't choreograph this ahead of time, but the dashboard's on the innovation project. I apologize, but I'm going to put him on the spot. Andrew, do you have a recent version ready that we can display, and then quick call outs to some of the changes we made since last month?
Yeah, I think so. We're talking about changes to the that MIECHV crossover report.
This would be the baseline innovation report on the referrals.
Okay, yes. Let me get an updated version real quick.
So while he's pulling that up, just a quick refresher. So as part of the grant activity, what we had promised to do was look at referral activity in these three categories that closely connect to the referral network partners. So we talked last month about if we want to capture everything in ETO up to this point regarding a referral for legal services, legal aid services, how should we code that, or how would it be represented in ETO? And you all had some wonderful suggestions for us to expand what we had previously done. So we've made those changes. So legal aid services is one category, developmental services is yet another. We're also looking more specifically at Sooner Start, and then finally looking at substance abuse services. What we decided to do based on the feedback that you all provided, because what we were hearing for the legal aid and for substance abuse, for example, is that, well, sometimes we might code it as a different category, but that category might represent substance use and it might represent something else as well. I'm trying to think. So immigration, for example, is a good one where oftentimes it was a legal oriented referral associated with an immigration status issue. But there might be other types of referrals that are made where immigration got checked off the referral list. So the way we decided to look at this is with boundaries. So if we expand the definition, how many referrals are we getting per month? And of those referrals, how many of those referrals do we have acknowledged receipt of services? If we narrow the definition, what does it look like? So we're hoping for a boundary here of referrals with these expanded definitions and these narrow definitions, and then their associated utilization rates.
All right, let me go and share my screen.
Perfect, thank you. So first tab is the referral counts, just the raw number of counts that are coming in. I believe this is monthly data, correct, Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah, so month to month, what do we see? All three programs are on the same plot. Each of the shaded gray lines represent a different program. So the one he's got now, it looks like his PAT. C1 is the one on the along the top. There's PAT, and then Safe Care must be the one toward the bottom. These are raw counts, so this sort of makes sense. We would expect, based on the size of some of the programs, for this to sort of be the order. So there's your timeline of dating all the way back to the beginning of ETO up to present day. You want to, oh, and this is Sooner Start. Sorry, let's move over to legal services. Legal services, and we can even maybe zoom in on the curve there. This is now with the expanded definition, correct, Andrew?
Yes, at this point, we've included referrals to immigration services and to domestic and intimate partner violence as being legal referrals.
Yeah. So we haven't abandoned the other approach again. So we still have that data to report in this, what we're calling the baseline report. And now this expanded definition as well. That includes immigration type referrals and domestic intimate partner violence referrals. And then we switch over to substance use. I can't remember if we made changes here or not. So we've got alcohol treatment, drug treatment, smoking cessation.
I think those are the three we've always been using.
Always used. Okay. All right. All right. So the real changes were to legal services. I know there were other changes, Andrew. You'll have to help me remember.
Yes, I think the most recent change was we added this COVID timeline where we're trying to track referrals and utilizations to financial assistance or food assistance or housing and whatnot in terms of 3 and 6 month retention before and after post-COVID. Before and post-COVID.
I believe we did have this last time and we presented it. The change that I was blanking on is we decided to eliminate any referrals that come in at the very first visit. So that was the other really feedback that we got from you last month, that we sort of automatically make these referrals whether the family needs it or not on the first visit. And that may be lowering our utilization rates, and it did. And so we made that change. And now you'll see that the utilization curves are higher than they were a month ago. Let's see, here we are with sooner start. This is percent of referrals utilized. And this is based on what's documented in ETO. Likely the utilization rate is even higher than that. And we have some utilization that just doesn't get documented in ETO. But it looks like for PAT, we're now hovering around, 35, 40%. Even higher than that some months. Your red line is C1, where we're around the 25% mark. Obviously, big dips there for C1 in the last couple of years because of the pandemic and the low number of clients that are being served. And the blue line is safe care. We would expect there to be more variability in safe care just simply because the numbers are smaller, so it'll be more erratic. So a little bit of an increase, but still yet, we think, room for improvement here of trying to get families connected to this service after a referral is made. Legal referrals, you want to hop over to that one? So a pretty big jump here for our Safe Care program. Now we're above 50% in almost every month. And we see sort of an increase here among the PAT and the C1 clients historically. Yet again, I would say, room for improvement. Can we get more of these families to engage in the services? As you know, that was really the mission of this new grant funding opportunity. Can we enhance communication with some of these referral partners and have that lead to greater utilization of those services? Okay, finally, the substance use referrals. Big jump here from what we saw previously. So our referral counts are awfully low, lower than perhaps we might anticipate, but happy to see for PAT and for Safe Care, we're getting high utilization rates. For C1, the utilization rate is not as high. Open for commentary here. I dare not speculate. I don't know if it's, maybe a patient population thing, maybe it's a documentation thing. C1 folks that are on, any thoughts come to mind?
Oklahoma City C1 folks are not here today. They had a conflict.
Okay. Thanks for that reminder.
I'm here though. This is Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. Um, just, could you make that a little larger?
Uh,
Or is it not
yes, it is possible. I have to bring this up in browser. Give me 1 second.
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I was gonna say, I'll just stick my face closer to it.
So the red line here, if you can see it, Susan, is the C1 trajectory. These are utilization percentages. So of those that got referred for substance use services, how many did we have documentation that they used those services? And it looks like it's, roughly 25% most of the time.
So what you're looking at is coming from the referral tracking where we've made a referral. And
Yeah.
then you're going back and where are you checking? You're also checking referral tracking for utilization. Is that
That's
correct?
Yes.
And then, so in that, when you're going back to look, I think we talked about this before, is there in referral tracking specifically, can they mark client refused? Or is that just in the notes? Because they'll put that in their notes, but is there someplace they can put that in referral tracking?
I believe there is. I believe that's one of the options for
Was that back?
referral outcome.
And that was back in 2022?
Yes.
Okay. Because, again, I've just been doing some site visits, so I've been looking through notes, and we do have clients that refuse. Either they're already, well, I want to go back to actual treatment because a lot of our clients are already seeing like a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but that's more for behavioral health. As far as actual treatment, I don't know that we have that frequency, but I think that's neither here nor there because there should be follow-up either way, right? Once the referral is made, is that what I'm hearing? Like the referral's made and then there is no follow-up in the notes. I mean, in the referral tracker.
We're just looking at that structured field of was the service utilized. So there are, 3 or 4 down options.
So yeah, so they make a referral and then was the service utilized, and that this graph shows that it was not utilized or there just was no answer.
We also do follow up on the referral tracking dashboard.
Okay.
I missed that, David. Can you say that again?
Oh, on the referral tracking dashboard. So if you see the referral on ETO, there's a link that says referral tracking dashboard. And if you click on it, there will be there could be a follow-up to, or supposed to be a follow-up to whatever that referral was. If it's not an out and out refusal of service. And the follow-up may be that the client did not do anything.
Right. Okay. David, that's kind of, you're asking in much more eloquently than I could.
I mean, it is what I'm saying making sense?
Yes, it actually is because,
Okay.
so I think, David, we've talked before about our visit notes and how rich they are in information, because the top of every visit note, there is a section called follow-up. So if a referral was made at the visit previous, like a referral to alcohol treatment, an alcohol treatment program, the nurses are instructed that they have to include in that next visit, they have to include in that follow-up section what's happened with that referral. And sometimes we'll see, well, the mom called, but she couldn't get anybody to return her call, or she left a message, or it's too far for her to travel, just whatever the follow-up is. But Deva, do you think that's going anywhere else other than at the top of that next visit note?
No, I mean, unless there's a follow-up on the referral tracking dashboard.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I agree, it should be in both places. There should say something in the follow-up note as well as update that referral in the referral tracking dashboard.
Right, because I think maybe that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and
With this
I
data.
would just tend to say that we don't have a large quantity of clients that we refer just straight for drug treatment.
I would agree. I would
Yeah.
agree, David.
Yeah, and I think the plot demonstrates that too. So the size of the dots that you see reflect the number of clients being referred. So relative to PAT, for example, we're seeing a lot fewer referrals. Even Safe Care seems to have more referrals than C1 for these three types of substance use services. And that may have a lot to do with the patient population, given the fact that you're enrolling your clients while they're pregnant. This is probably not, we hope, the first time they've been asked a substance use question and probably offered services for cessation.
I would agree. Deva, would you say that that women who come into Children First, of course, it's their first pregnancy. They
Mhm.
might be younger, although we do have some older moms, but they're younger. Maybe they just haven't had as much life experience.
Yeah, I would agree. And if we are looking at the demographic of a first time mom, right?
Right.
So they have a reason to stop drug use,
Right.
And also a lot of ours, and this is just, my experience is marijuana usage. And with the marijuana usage, they have a card and they don't seek treatment for that.
Absolutely. I would say marijuana use is definitely very prevalent amongst our moms.
Hey, Susan, this is
yeah.
Kathy. Would there be anything correlating these numbers like from the STAR?
Should be.
Should, right?
There should be. And David,
Not that we're
has
collecting that for this, but
no, but he's become aware of STAR, David, right? Our nursing care plan.
Yeah,
that
we're
is-
planning to look at that for
yeah.
this coding of progress notes around family engagement more generally. If there's a structured field there that we can pull in for utilization of services, we can easily incorporate that.
Yes, there is. I mean, there's many domains, many areas, including substance use and abuse while they're pregnant and then after the baby comes. And so if that's something that you would like to meet, separately about, we can certainly arrange that and kind of go through. Deva actually was one of our gurus who helped get it into ETO, from on paper into ETO. So I'm volunteering you, Deva, to maybe be one of those sources to just, if we wanted to get together, David. So I think that NFP is very rich in what we document and where we but it's like it's all in different places. Does that make sense?
Andrew, are we pulling in the referral follow-up tracking for these data points as well?
For this one, not yet from the follow-up touch point.
So that might be a promising avenue to explore too. If I understood Deva correctly, that might be the protocol for C1, that at the follow-up visit, at the next visit, this get documented in that follow-up. I forget what you called it, David. It was a referral tracking dashboard, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that in the past that we've played around with that data some. Part of the difficulty there is connecting follow-up data to its referral. Once you pull the data out of ETO is not completely obvious. There are multiple date variables and referral ID variables, and it's not immediately obvious how to match a row in a follow-up to a row in the referral to its original referral and the referral data. I know it's a little clearer on the front end of ETO because you find that exact referral and you say, okay, show me the follow-up form associated with it, with this referral. Once the data has been taken out of ETO, putting them back together again has been a challenge, but we've played around with that before, and I can definitely try to get that incorporated into this as well.
Okay, this has been great feedback. Thank you. So we'll look into that. And yeah, as Susan mentioned, we're in the process of pulling some of the unstructured data in ETO. I may reserve some time next month. Well, next month's pretty packed. Maybe at the learning session in July to tell you more about that work. Tabitha is on and is helping with some of the conceptual organization of that. But in essence, what we're attempting to do is take unstructured data logged by providers and see if we can predict retention of clients long term. So are there some family engagement notes being documented in the system early on that can predict how engaged the family will be long term?
David, can I ask a question before you move on
Yeah.
relating to the substance use? How just wondering how the programs, do they monitor the misuse of prescribed medication? I know when we were doing safe care research, we really, as data collectors, we looked at that. But I wonder along that use of even even though the marijuana may be prescriptive, is it being used more than, because then it becomes just wondering if the programs monitor misuse of prescription meds and how often or something.
It sort of gets back to a previous topic of how are the programs screening for substance use or abuse. I don't know if anyone wants to quickly share the measures that they're using or even the protocol. A little bit of a segue here. You'll notice in the agenda, this is a topic we plan to concentrate on at next month's meeting. And in fact, our MIECHV liaison, I think is with us today, is going to be presenting on that. Yeah, I see Katie, there she is.
Dava, with Susan,
Yes.
if a nurse offers a referral in the visit and the mom refuses, are the nurses instructed to still go ahead and make the referral, like in referral tracking? Because I'm wondering
Yeah.
if they're doing that.
Yes, they're instructed to go ahead and put the referral down and that client refused referral.
Okay, all right.
Hey,
Uh-huh.
This is Kathy. I have a question. So is there another group of NFP MIECHV folks that are doing CQI that I'm just wondering if they probably don't have the same project, but I'd be curious to know nationally what this looks like. I imagine it's probably going to correlate. I would be surprised if it didn't. The lower number of referrals. I guess I'm just thinking with first-time pregnant moms, given aside the marijuana use, because we know that's pretty high, but other than marijuana, even with alcohol, it seems to be a smaller number than moms that have more than one child. So I was just wondering nationally if that's an opportunity within other MIECHV groups that are doing CQI projects. I don't know, but it would be interesting to see nationally.
I'm not aware of it being tracked nationally at the model level.
Oh, okay.
MIECHV's been pretty careful about, well, not careful, but I guess they've been, they've allowed states to report their benchmark data for the system on the whole and not for individual models. So, and substance use or abuse is not a mandated benchmark, so it's a selected benchmark.
Okay.
Now, that being said, so there is some data that's collected, and we could probably identify some states where there's heavy presence of NFP. Also, we are participating for the first time ever over the last year and a half in what they're calling a coordinated state evaluation for MIECHV. So we have been paired with 10 other, I think it's 10 other states to work on this family engagement topic. And we're all looking at data together and sort of sharing high-level summary with one another. This is not on our radar, but I have a feeling I'd be happy to announce it at our next meeting and get some feedback on that. And maybe it's something we could even try to explore together in the months that are ahead.
Thank you.
Dr. Bar, this is Patty. I have a question. So that what you are showing is not necessarily if there are few clients that, you know, maybe are referred to drug and alcohol programs, but is the ones that you refer if they have a follow-up, correct? Because like in our program, we rarely see that also, but so you will not have referrals, but if you do a referral, what you're showing is like, do they have a follow-up? And the follow-up is being pulled from the referral tracking form from the follow-up, and the problems we were having that maybe sometimes that's more documented. But in this case, it's not, there's few clients, but if it's a follow-up in the referral tracking form, is that correct?
It sounds like we're not using the referral
No, I mean,
form as much.
no, the
as
question
writing
was
the
not necessarily like if the reason why it's low is because there are a few clients, but what is showing the data is low, but you don't know what happened. It's not the follow-up that is showing, or am I?
So the previous plot, we were looking at the utilization plot. Andrew, can you take us back there for a second? So this would be of those referrals that we see in the referral tracking form, how many have documented indication that that client engaged in the service?
Okay, I see. Okay,
And
yeah. So it
for
doesn't
now-
matter if it's just one client. I mean, it's you just need there. It will be showing was it a referral follow-up, and if it's not there, maybe it's a referral. Maybe was not done. Is that what it is?
We still count the if the referral shows up, we count it. I
Mhm.
think I'm maybe misunderstanding, but if there's evidence that a referral was made, we count it and they show up in this plot as well. That's the
Okay.
size of the circle for each dot.
Uh-huh.
And then the percentage that's posted here are of those that had a referral, how many do we know because it was
That they
documented
exactly. Yeah, okay.
receive that service? Yeah.
It doesn't matter really how many clients, but it's just if there was a follow-up on those clients. Okay. Yeah.
There would have to be a follow-up, yes,
Exactly.
and then documentation that the service was received. Yeah.
And again, I think it's worth mentioning that for utilization, we're looking at do they show up as the service was initiated and ongoing or initiated and resolved? And that's data we're pulling from the referral tracking touch point. There is that referral follow-up touch point. And again, that data is I'm afraid not being used in these graphs yet because some difficulties connecting the follow-up data with the original referral. The utilization here, we're looking at, do they show up as being utilized on the original referral, on the referral tracking touch point?
So not to be lost here in the shuffle is the, fair bit of good news here about referrals from the PAT and the Safe Care programs being followed up on by the client, right? So the client is engaging in these services the vast majority of the time.
This is Yolanda, and maybe some of the other MIECHV can, say something about the referrals if I am wrong, but I think what happens with the referral tracking that we use in ETO, it has changed over the years. So one of the things that we had the problem in the past is we'll enter the referral, maybe the referral is open for whatever reason, and you go ahead and do an update, and you kind of go to the little clock and do the update. But what was happening with that is when we run reports, those updates, since you don't change the actual form, it still was showing up that is like open, ongoing, or something. So what we were doing is go to the referral and go and edit it and close it or do whatever update. So maybe that's some of the reasons, it doesn't maybe show up in the progress, is because we have to go back and edit the actual referral. So because we have a lot of issues in the past that we have done the progress and didn't, still the referral was open because that's how originally it was entered. I don't know if I make sense. If I don't, maybe some other can say something about it, but that's the problem that we have. So I don't know if other sites that we're using have the same issues.
But it's a point well taken from our perspective, at least, that, just because we're gathering all this information on how the system's used today doesn't necessarily mean that's how it was used back in 2016 and 2017. Yeah. I'm gonna just foreshadow here or fast forward here a year from now. We're going to keep looking at this plot, and what we the reason we wanted to put these data together so we could see what life was like before Unite Us was part of these programs, part of your programs, and what life was like afterwards. And for that matter, what life was like prior to the development of PDSAs, where we're going to concentrate on referrals in these different categories, these three categories, and what it was like after. So here I'm seeing wonderful utilization rates for the PAT and the Safe Care program. We're seeing lower utilization rates for C1. Maybe that's just a documentation issue, and we can dig out some of that data from ETO. But if it were to hover around here, what we would hope to see over the next year is an increase. Can we get more of these families where substance use is identified as a concern engaged in these services? And can the CQI work that's being done and the use of Unite Us help reach that mark? We'll not only do that for the utilization rates, we're also hoping to see an increase in the referrals, that having concentrated focus on these categories for CQI projects, we'll see an increase in the number of referrals that are made for these categories. So that's what we're going to monitor. We'll recognize and do a careful job of documenting the fact that the historic data has a number of flaws sort of baked in here, right? These data weren't collected with this objective in mind. So it's a loose benchmark for us, but it is a benchmark. And so we'll be weighing what we see over the next year with what we've shown you today. But I do appreciate the feedback, particularly from the C1 program here. It is sort of a remarkable difference between the groups. So we'll try to find other places where documented utilization might be hiding, and keep you updated if the line moves closer to what we see for PAT and Safe Care.
And you know what might be interesting, Dr. Barr, is because we're going to have to document and Unite Us and then also an ETO. So maybe whenever you did this comparison in a year, whatever you pull from Unite Us, pull it also from ETO to see if you get the same results. Because maybe it's what you're saying, there's the documentation is wherever it goes, that maybe it's not pulling it out for you. So maybe it'll be a good thing to do, just a comparison of results.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do that. Surprised I didn't think to start our meeting with this, but I hope everybody has heard the good news that we did sign a contract with Unite Us. So we are ready to go. They are ready to go. I have a meeting coming up this week or next. I think it's this week, isn't it? Yeah, okay. I see Tabitha shaking your head for a formal kickoff. And I know that Unite Us has met with all the programs already. We've got some new accounts to hand out soon so that you can get as much access as you want essentially to the system. And then we can dive right into your PDSAs. So we appreciate your patience with us and with the project over the last several months while we waited for the ink to be on paper, but it has happened, and we're ready to go. Okay, I'm going to hand the reins back to Lisa. I'm sorry, did I cut someone off? Go ahead.
My question was like, so, because we were waiting, we just put that, the referral in ETO, so we're ready to put it in Unite Us. Is that what you're saying for sooner start? So we can do it now?
Should be able to do it now. Maybe let's wait till this meeting on Friday. Is it Friday, Tabitha? Yep, we have a meeting on Friday, and I should learn more. And as soon as we do, we're going to send it out by email to all of you.
Okay, thank you, David. Andrew, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. And last month, y'all took a survey about administering forms to your clients on substance use. And so we have some results to share with you. We had 31 of you responded to these questions, and there's going to be a bar graph here for each question. So I'll just step you through this. The item about feeling knowledgeable enough to conduct the screenings, there's quite a bit of agreement here. We have 22 of the 31 people saying agree or strongly agree. My clients don't need to be screened for substance use has a lot of disagreement with that statement. So there's 23 of the 31 are saying disagree or strongly disagree. Screening clients could signal that my clients can talk to me about substance use. There's general agreement with that. 24 of the 31 are agree or strongly agree. I'm concerned about alienating my clients if I screen for substance abuse or substance use. There's a tendency toward disagreeing with that statement. But there are some who are agreeing with it. 5 are on the agree or strongly agree side. My clients would fear losing their children if they disclose substance use. Quite a bit of agreement with that. 19 agree, 3 strongly agree. We have mixed results on this item about whether you have access to good screening tools for substance use. There's just as many people agreeing as disagreeing with and neutral on that. So there's a tendency toward disagreeing with the statement about not having time during home visits to screen for substance use. For the item, I would screen only if I detected evidence of substance use. There's some disagreement with that, but there's a few who are agreeing. 6 are agree or strongly agree out of the 31 respondents. Quite a few of you said you've received training on smoking cessation. We've got 26 of 31 agreeing or strongly agreeing. I received training on the effects of alcohol use. We've got 27 out of 31 are on the agree side. I've received training on the effects of drug use. We have 26 of 31 agreeing or strongly agreeing. I received training on how to identify signs and symptoms of alcohol use. That's going to be 25 out of 31. I've received training on how to identify signs and symptoms of drug use. That's also going to be 25 out of 31. I know how to keep clients who need treatment. I know how to help clients who need treatment for drug or alcohol use. We've got 19 out of 21. So there's a little bit of disagreement here where there's 7 saying, indicating maybe that they could use some more knowledge on how to help these clients. How to help clients who need treatment for tobacco use. That's 25 out of 31. I think the TSET program has informed a lot of Oklahomans about being able to call the Quit Now phone line, the 800 number. Universal screening for clients for substance use should be conducted. There's a tendency to agree with that, 21 out of 31. during the pandemic, this is one of the strongest agreements that we've received. During the pandemic, substance use prevalence increased. There's disagreement with the statement about not wanting to screen clients because you may have to report positive results to DHS. Just a couple of people saying agree on that one. And asked about preferring your agency to focus our next PDSA project on the Parent-Child Assistance Program. A lot of we don't have an opinion answers. So that's the results. Do you have any comments or questions on this? Okay.
I think that question was intended for me, but I do have a comment, which is sort of
Okay.
similar to what we talked about with the utilization rates. I mean, I think this is promising. So this cannot be easy, I'm sure, to have this conversation with anyone, let alone your client. But very pleasing to see that the vast majority of the respondents to the survey felt like this is doable and in many cases even essential. I referenced it earlier. Katie has agreed to present an overview of evidence-based screening practices at next month's Learning Collaborative Call. And then we would love for some of the programs to consider either an extension of your current PDSA project or even a new PDSA project focused on substance use and the PCAP program in the July learning session.
Okay, we have two programs who are going to give us a brief summary of their PDSA plans. Oklahoma City C1 will have to wait because they weren't able to come to this meeting today. How about Parent Promise?
I'm here.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi. Okay. I have it pulled up. So, okay. So we were going to just do referring families to the Sooner Start through the Unite Us. So I am happy to hear that we're going to be able to get started. So far, we've just been doing the referrals through their site. So we want to go ahead and track this because we do refer limited feedback from the Sooner Start about the referrals. So typically we're never sure what happens really. So through the Unite Us, to ensure that 75% of children under 3 with a developmental concern complete a Sooner Start intake and interview. And then our outcome measures, percentage of children under 3 with positive home visit administered ASQ3 or an ASQ SE and complete the Sooner Start family interview. Okay, process measures. Our process measures was the percentage of families who successfully connect with Sooner Start to provide and schedule the intake. And then our disruptors, we talked about out of the families that would have a child with a positive screening for any developmental concerns, and then the percentage refusing a referral to Sooner Start. We have had families refuse them. And then the tools, we'll be using a release of information for families to do the referral. We'll have a procedure or a script for the follow-ups with the clients that the girls will do during the visits, just remembering to do those follow-ups during the home visits when they go in. And then, let me see. Oh, did you pull it up? So our plan, so the PEs will be implementing the change. So they're going to do it when they do the ASQs for the families, which with the enrolled families. And then, so they will be doing the ASQs with children under 3 who have identified developmental concerns and refer them to Sooner Start. They'll be doing this in the homes during the visits, whether the visits are in person or virtual. And sometimes in the office. We do have families that come out to the office. and when? Well, of course, during the visits. So our step-by-step action plan is P will administer the ASQ3 and SE, and then P will make the referral to Sooner Start through the Unitas if there is a concern, and then the P will follow up through the Unitas within about a week, and the P will also follow up with the family as well. And that's it.
Thank you, Alicia. Does anybody have any comments or questions for Alicia? I'm
So,
sorry, I
Alicia,
didn't get
you
this
said
pulled
that-
up. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lisa, you said that for now you're using the Sooner Start referral website, right? And are you also tracking that in ETO, fair to assume?
Yes. I actually just reminded a couple of the girls this morning that they need to go in and make sure that they've done their referral tracking when putting those in for now. Because again, we weren't super sure when we were going to get to start to use the Unitas. But yeah, we've been doing it through ETO.
Okay, great. And I asked that because obviously for the last several months, you guys have started your CQI projects, and I presume you're logging data in ETO. So we looked at that baseline report just a moment ago. Some of that data is really data post PDSAs. So we're going to create a clean separation there so that we can see before and after we started these PDSA projects, what do the referral data look like? What are they telling us? We may even make a further distinction of once you've got Unitas available, what do the data tell us? But anyway, well-constructed PDSA. Looking forward to further updates.
All right, great. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, David. Yolanda, would you like to talk about yours?
Sure. Do you have my slide? Oh, you want me to share, Liz? It doesn't, I have.
You
pulled it
can
up.
if you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much it's like a copy from Alicia. So, but I will go ahead and share my screen. And
Okay.
we are going to also do referrals using the Unitas system. And of course, it's going to be Sooner Start. And we also want to improve ways to refer families and kind of coordinate it with Sooner Start. And the smart aim is implementation of the NIDA system. At least 75% of the children under 36 months identified with developmental concern.
Yolanda,
And-
I'm sorry. We're
Yes.
seeing your folder.
Oh my
we're
gosh,
not-
I am so sorry.
We're not seeing your document.
So sorry. I guess I pulled it up in the wrong way. Yes, so we are going to the smart aid implementation list of 75%, children 36 months identified with any developmental concern, and they will complete a Sooner Start intake and assessment. And of course, we're going to be using the system. I already met up with NIDAS, and we did like a brief training on how to start the process. The disruptors is going to be, of course, if the family, they don't want to be referral. So that's going to be the disruptor that we created. And who is going to implement it? Of course, the parent educators, when they visit the family, when they do the ASQ or any other, monitoring screen that to make sure that the children are meeting, the milestones. And we're going to be doing in the client homes, or, we still have some families that sometimes, not all the time, but they want virtual visits. And for now, it's going to be using the Unitas system is going to be me for now. Depends how it goes. Maybe I can get someone, but I just didn't want it for the parent educators to be using another system, and I will see how that goes. And we are ready to go when, you guys give us this okay. That's it.
Trying to get to my unmute button. Thank you, Yolanda. Any comments or questions for Yolanda? Okay, David, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, let me just say yet again, we have been jumping up and down since last week's announcement that the Unite Us contract is raring to go. We did have a preliminary meeting with the Unite Us representatives last week. We've got the formal kickoff meeting scheduled for Friday this week, and then we hope we're off and running. We've been chatting here, Lisa and I, about the current cycles that you're working on, and I'm reminded, Yolanda, looking at yours, I mean, really the innovation, you've been sitting, waiting for Unite Us to be available to see if this bi-directional communication can enhance family engagement in the program. So a lot of the data that you've been tracking in ETO is in some ways baseline data, what's happening with the current system, where we don't have this open line of communication with the providers. So we're anxious to open up that new line of communication. And I think we'll put our heads together, but more than likely come next month, or I'm sorry, come, what is today? Yeah, we're still
Tomorrow is next month.
Tomorrow's next month. Come July in our learning session, we may very well extend your PDSAs, or at least give you the option to extend your PDSAs so that you can see what these well-laid plans really look like once you have the tools to implement them.
Now, David, I had one other thing I was going to ask. There was some talk in the chat between LaShonda and Pollard about the LASSO referrals. Do we need to talk about that, LaShonda and Pollard?
I think Pilar said things that I think everything was taken care of, but Pilar.
Well, I just, my only concern was that, well, I'll be meeting with Unite Us regarding the referrals that are no longer visible to me about how to correct that. So to me, that's an issue that needs to be fixed. And she did provide, they would have to add something to Unite Us to allow us to keep a record of the rejected or not accepted cases when they have not been opened or closed. So I was going to be discussing that. I didn't know if you guys had any kind of input on that matter.
I don't have input, but I agree with you. I hope that we can resolve that and that you can continue to see how many of those referrals came in and the reasons why they were rejected. We want to track that data too. So I've been closely watching the email exchanges and hoping that the answer will be yes, you can maintain visibility of those. If you cannot, I feel fairly comfortable saying that our group will be provided that data, Pilar, and we can turn it back to you periodically as it comes in. We don't get to see it in real time, and we're still trying to figure out what that rate of data exchange will be. It sounds like they're willing to do it weekly, and at the longest lag would be monthly. But we should be getting that data as evaluators so we can see all the referrals coming to your agency, whether they were rejected, whether they were accepted, whether there's documented utilization of services for the clients. So worst case scenario, we can hand that back to you. I'm hoping on a weekly frequency.
Okay, I will meet and let you know what I find out in that meeting.
Great.
LaShonda, does this answer your question about has a final decision been made
Yeah.
on? It
Yeah,
does. Okay.
Because they kind of gave two options, kind of like, or explanations as to what was kind of taking place. So I didn't know if the meeting, so it sounds like the meeting is coming up. Pilar, are you leaning toward what your ask? Because it seems like once the person is marks down, once the client is, I'm gonna say declined, but they're not eligible, it kind of goes away. They could kind of like temporarily pause it in a sense, but it doesn't completely. So I didn't know if you were leaning toward one of the based on her email, but or maybe you guys are still thinking about it.
I'm sorry, did you say?
Yeah, have you made up your mind on what you think would work best for you guys? Have you guys discussed that, or is if you're comfortable sharing?
Oh, yeah,
Based
Michael
on-
definitely wants to capture all the data, and now the instructions, there was some miscommunication for the Tulsa office.
Okay,
Where they were pre-screening the applicants prior to taking their intake, and if they felt like they did not qualify for services, they were not doing an intake. And that is not correct.
right.
We have corrected that issue, and so now they're going to be taking an intake on all the referrals for MIECHV. And that way I have documentation on legal server, which is what we use to document our cases, and then notate the reason for the rejection or not accepting the case. Because I need to confirm, I need to have at least 2 sets of eyes looking at every case. And I would be that second set of eyes that would go back in there and make sure that we did properly screen that person. Because if there's any way that we can accept that case, for example, I was emailed this last week about someone that was an undocumented alien, and she was having an issue because she was being verbally told that she was supposed to vacate the home she was renting for non-payment of rent in 4 days. She was never given anything from the court or anything like that. But I was not given a referral initially because they said, well, this person's undocumented, therefore you can't help her. I said, make the referral anyway, but give me their contact information. I talked to them. I found out the contract had expired. She had adult children who were US citizens. So I was able to set up an intake, do an intake for one of the adult children, and she was able to receive the services that she needed. So I know it's frustrating when they talk to me or somebody else in LASSO and we may not be able to help. But if there's any situation, any way that we can make this work, such as in this case, we're not able to help her, but we're able to help the adult children that are US citizens because there's no longer a contract in place. That rental agreement has expired. It's not a contract between the adult mom and the landlord. So we were able to proceed with assisting. So if there's any chance, any way that we can assist them, I will always push for that. So I'm the second set of eyes that will bump them back up and say, no, we do need to accept this one. So that's why I would request if anybody would want to resend your referrals or just directly to me, email me with the names, because I found there was more than 8. Actually, I found 13 referrals that were missing from what we initially received, but there was no intake done. So if you have anybody that says, they wouldn't take my application or they rejected me for services, if they would not mind talking to me one more time, I would just need 5-10 minutes of their time, and I would like to rescreen them myself and see if there's any way that we can assist them. I would love to do that.
Thank you, Paula. That's terrific. Well, we're about out of time. David, do you have anything you want to say in the last 30 seconds?
No, that's what a wonderful story. I'm glad to hear that.
I'll just
All
add
right.
very quickly, thank you to all for emailing me back and working with the workflows. I apologize, the comments got weird with my version of PowerPoint, but I appreciate your patience and help getting those done.
Yes, thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your time. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good afternoon.